Good evening, everybody. It's July Fool's Day. That means it's July 1st, 2014. And welcome to the Day 9 Daily, where we learn to be a better gamer. Like my shirt, pretty dope. Ooh! I decided to go with the rather symbolic black background, not just because I think that this is a grand logo behind me, but also because my green screen is not yet in really great shape. Still thinking about gathering the essentials for being a new human in a new apartment, but still drinking out of red cups, still using old lights, still have a chair in the back of my car, and I've been driving it all around the city because I just don't quite need to unpack it now. But in fortunate news, I am dedicated enough to have prepared a daily for you, you poor struggling Terran player you. You've been saying, guys, Terran feels kind of weak, feeling bad, and I'm allowed to bring this up because of the fact that Blizzard has recently noted that they are seeing the imbalance themselves, that they are going to be patching allegedly the Widow Mine and the Medevac, but I think 99 times out of 100, every time Blizzard's like, we're thinking of doing this, they just do exactly that. So I'm anticipating a Medevac and a mine opening, a Medevac and a mine buff, which is particularly relevant to the topic of how the hell does Maru keep succeeding in the Terran vs. Protoss matchup. And I will summarize the answer by saying strength in the mid-game. Mid-game muscle, mid-game mode. Let us win with mid-game chode. That took a weird turn, but it rhymed. Now all of a sudden you'll remember mid-game. And that weird time when Sean brought up fat penises. Anyways, the topic we're going to be exploring today, again, is the idea that in the Terran vs. Protoss matchup, when Protoss gets to the late game, it seems as though he has all the answers to any other kind of play we'd want to do than direct head-on play. If we try to harass with a Medevac, well, he has feedbacks and blank and can easily warp in. Any breaking off of small units to harass, the only acceptable harassment, it seems, in the late game is the nuke, but what about the head-on engagement? Well, Protoss tends to have Colossus and Storm and Speed Zealots and Blink, and even if you... even if you do have Ghosts and Vikings and a big Bio Ball, winning against that late-game Protoss army seems really tough, especially given when Protosses have 15 or so gateways, can warp in 15 Zealots to reinforce. Feels poopy. So what we're going to look at is Maru's, in essence, his analysis of the matchup is made clear in these games. He's going for mid-game pressure. He's going to try to deal as much damage in the mid-game as humanly possible, oftentimes winning, but at the very least setting himself up for success. In the course of this daily, we will watch 2 games that he wins, 2 games that he loses, and we'll cry. Let me bring it back around again. Remember the Mine Medevac buff that I spoke of? Makes perfect sense with this style that we will see from Maru. The Mine Medevac strength tunes itself to this oh so elegantly. Ooh, what is Sean doing with his forefinger and thumb? Is he tuning a radio? Well, kinda. He's gonna hear frequencies. Okay. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing the Crusher Shaman, the one that has ancestral healing and ancestral recall. Really cool deck. I hope it wins me things. Friday is subscriber games. We're going to do like a half day on Friday because it's the 4th of July and I'm going to a bacon festival in the evening. It's very important that I get my bacon. So that's what's going on. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, I would strongly suggest skipping ahead. If you're here watching live, how are you? We got Gas Break Dip. Welcome. Still love your name from when it was originally seen on Fun Day Monday. Kronos asks, is HOS required for sub games? Unfortunately, yes. Yes, it will be in order to stay as up to date as possible on all them arcade gamies. I'm just in a in a very relaxed, chill mood. I moved, kind of. I live in a different place now, but I still haven't done very basic things. Like, I still don't know how to pay for water. I want to pay for the water bill. I would love to pay for the water bill, but I don't know how. I've looked online. There's like no information, and I haven't received anything in the mail yet, so I'm hoping that one day when the shower doesn't turn on, that there will at least be a notification to tell me how to turn the shower back on. There's a lot of brutality with moving. In fact, I called a whole bunch of ENTs, an ear, nose, throat doctor, and none of them answered the phone. No one, literally, there was no answer. So my ear is still clogged. I can't hear out of my right ear. Though I did pay rent. Rent and I believe electricity are on auto pay. But I should definitely double check electricity. Okay, let's hop into this game. Let's do it. Now, I am going to note a couple of so important things right off the bat. I want you to think about the ways that Taran normally open. Up to, let's say, 10 minutes. Think about that. Stew in your brain. Quest your memory. What the hell do Terrans do in that early opening 10 minutes? Now, I know many of you are going to say, well, there's Reaper Expand, or there's Expand Barracks, or there's Fast Drop Plays, but that's just the start. How does it tend to unfold? I will divide it into two broad categories that we see very commonly. One of the categories is when the Terran player does something like this, expands quickly, maybe Reaper Expand, maybe Barracks Expand, maybe just straight up begin with the Expand, and then the Terran player will quickly get medevacs. That is what I will describe as one classification. Now, I know that there's generally 3 barracks, stim is being constructed out of one of them, but I want this moment to stick out strongly in your mind that when the Terran player gets medevacs, that is when the reactor and the tech lab go down on barracks 2 and 3. All the gas is devoted to getting medevacs. Marines help us stay alive until then, and when we move out, that is when reactor and tech lab go down. So I haven't said anything about strategy, I've just said what we tend to see. The other one is that we'll typically see a Terran get many barracks early, and by many I do mean 3, and rather than quickly invest in lots of medevac tech, we'll see Terran players quickly get add-ons. And what we see these types of Terran players do is they try to batter down the Protoss player early. So I will actually be able to note these 2 deviations when we hit around 5 minutes. Ah, perfect. I'll stop at 5. Whenever this add-on pops out. Come on, give me an add-on. There we go. Okay. This is the sort of gameplay that we would see start off almost all Terran vs. Protosses. And again, most Terran players would get stim first, and then their next 100 gas would go straight in to building, a factory. Immediately getting the factory to immediately get medevacs, and only when the medevacs are out would these guys get add-ons. The second one we see is Terran players who quickly get these add-ons and try to push to try to hurt the Protoss player early in some way. We've only said what? We've only said the whats. We've only said the whats. Here's the why. Here's the juicy thing that I want you to digest. And we're going to go through it nice and slow and sexy. When we get those medevacs so fast, we don't have a terribly large amount of Marine Marauder. We tend to say, harass from the skies. We're going to harass with the medevacs, and that will buy us time to expand and to do all this other stuff, to get more barracks, to get those upgrades. In other words, fast medevacs is a harass build that will buy time. Let's say it again. Fast medevacs is a harassment-focused build that buys time. for the Terran player to get going. The second one, the quick add-ons, is a strategy to do early pressure to try to kill Protoss before he does anything that notable. It's early pressure, early pressure. Notice these two. It is quick harassment, containment, annoyingness to buy time, or kill the guy early, kill the guy early. And Maru's gonna focus on that big hole in the middle, hitting hard in the mid-game. Hitting hard in the mid-game. Not early, not buying time to get to the later stages of the game, but hitting hard in the middle. Well, why do we want to begin with that concept? For one, there's a whole bunch of different openings that you might want to do. This is a very standard looking opening where you go for the command center first and you get those 3 barracks following that up. But maybe you want to open Reaper, maybe you want to do something crazy where you go for factory. Use that as a guiding principle, a guiding concept. Do the damage in the mid game. And second of all, and I think more conveniently, everything we're going to see Maru do right now is all for that mid game pressure. Ooh. Okay. So let's go through this a little bit slowly and juicily. We have units being rallied around defensively. We have Maru doing himself some scouting. He spotted the early expand, but oh, look at this. A concussive shell, not stim pack. Why the hell would he do that? It seems like this would be devoted to an early attack, but it is not going to be an attack. Excuse me, it's just going to be early pressure. Normally in those early attacks, we would get the add-ons to get our army now, to be strong now. Maru is instead getting a fairly swift engineering bay. He's going to make sure that he has good upgrades in the mid-game. This little push we're going to see, I think, is my favorite innovation in Terran vs. Protoss in a million years, because I'm not going to lie, this matchup has been so static as hell for Terran players for ages. They've done almost the same stuff for so long, but Maru's really doing something special here. First of all, nice swift engineering bay, easily getting missile turrets up quickly. If he is going for an Oracle, we can build the missile turrets. If he's not, well, we simply don't build the missile turrets. In both cases, whether he goes Oracle or whether he doesn't, we can still do this nifty, thrifty, fast push. We suddenly see why concussive shell is important. Protosses will very often have stalkers to shoot marines that are advancing. The first concussive shell hit guarantees that stalker will die. This concussive shell guarantees that first stalker will die. So great, this little itty bitty bit of pressure means that the Protoss has to play absolutely drawn back to the natural nexus. Do you appreciate the genius of this? By getting a cheap little upgrade concussive shell, cheap little, tiny little upgrade, quick little upgrade, just 1 minute, whoop, and one single marauder, not a lot, just one little marauder. Hell, we even see Marines getting produced right now out of that. It was just one little guy. All the stalkers in the middle have to go home and are useless. It's only a Nexus Photon Overcharge that can help the Protoss now. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that elegant? While this push is going on, we see not ultra-fast ultra-fast add-ons, we just see pretty quick add-ons. The factory was still constructed before the add-ons, so we're not violently delaying our medevac production by any sense. Not at all. And yet we also still get these add-ons. Wow, look at this. Notice how this focuses on mid-game pressure. We're going to get nice, good upgrades in the mid-game. Getting these add-ons early means that we will begin producing a beefier, bigger army earlier, which is good for mid-game pressure. And of course, medevacs are the ultimate mid-game unit for Taran. Although, normally, if you go quick medevacs, you will be able to be harassy and buy time. But if you get reasonable time medevacs with a big, fat, well-upgraded army. Now we're talking about attacking. Oh! Oh, yes. Fantastic. So look at this. Photon overcharge. And Maru just gets to pull back easily, calmly, without much of a problem. Many Protosses actually just go for one warp gate during this power-up period. The fact that Protosses can get away with one warp gate is so much of the reason why Protosses are a pain in the ass for Terran. But this push has lost... Wow, is it just one unit? Yeah. One worker has died, one Marine has died, and a whole photon overcharge is down. Beautiful. The fact that this mothership core wasted a photon overcharge means that Maru will be stronger in the mid-game. Maru will be stronger in the mid-game. This upgrade means he'll be stronger in the mid-game. These quicker add-ons means he'll have a bigger army in the mid-game. The typical trajectory towards medevacs means Maru will be strong in the mid-game. Oh, yes. And look at stim, or fast stim. Not super fast combat shield. Concussive shell came first. We see Maru comfortably pulling back. Keeping a spotter out. Nice. Nice. Now, there's always these big power units, like, I don't want to call it a power unit, I'll call it a power play. There's always a big power play that will let Protoss step forward and take a third. Sometimes it's a Colossus, sometimes it's lots of gateway units with Blink, or gateway units with Immortals and all that shabazz, all that shebang. So in this circumstance, this early push immediately shoves back Classic until he can get some of his big power play units. Alright. Second thing that I want us to know. We've gotten up to the 10-minute mark. We've gotten close to the 10-minute mark now. Or we've just gotten past it. I've said this like 3 times already, but keep losing my train of thought. Everything we've seen up to now is the build-up, the lead-in to the mid-game. Cool, cool. When we think strategically, we can't just think about what we want to happen in the mid-game. We need to think of all the steps we take to there. Now that we're in the mid-game, how long does the mid-game last? I think if you're Terran, you need to be thinking in the 10 to 16 minute mark is your window to really cause some damage. Sometime in there. That's a pretty generous window. What we'll see out of Maru is a lot of efficiency with his buildings. That factory isn't just going to sit idly. Maru gets the add-on, and he's going to begin making mines immediately. Typically, right around now is when a Terran player could elect to throw down a fast expansion. Maru, when he detects air, tends to just get these barracks up sooner. Again, to have more units for his mid-game pressure. And look at that, mines coming out. Units rallied into the main to avoid counterattacking. Here's the usual harassment, the usual containment type stuffs. I also want you to note how many medevacs we're going to see out of Maru. He doesn't just flood straight out with Vikings in all these games. Alright, so we got Maru. Anytime you see Colossus, medevac drops are going to be much, much stronger. But this army from Maru is actually considerably larger than the average Terran army. So notice that we have almost no Vikings in this force, and that at this juncture, Classic is quite a ways behind in supply. Look at this, 2 Colossus and Immortal, some Phoenixes, 9 Zealots. 9 Zealots without speed. Maru has, like, mines burrowed ready to pick off everything. Strength in the mid-game. And I'd like you to very elegantly note, +1 armor's almost done at 12 minutes. Does it make sense why we got such an early engineering bay? Ooh, because we can have 1-1 upgrades in the mid-game. Wow, and the fact that we are using this factory means that in this window in the mid-game we actually get mines, and the fact that we got those 2 quick barracks means that we have better reinforcing potential starting in the mid-game. Notice that keyword at the end as well. Reinforcement progression, not army size, because the barracks haven't been done for that long. Look, this reactor has only just now finished. So these quick barracks have now contributed 1 unit. Are almost going to be on the verge of 2 units. Okay, cool. This battle that happens at the 12-minute mark has 1 extra unit from these barracks. Remember these 3 guys, how I was burbling about the add-ons popping down early? All of these units have been built from those 3 barracks. All of them. Every single one of them. This is the only one that wasn't built from those barracks. Every single one of these was built from those 3. Strength in the mid-game from that gorgeous early setup. So now we see Widow Mines waltzing up to the front lines. Zealots trying to step in. Just a pair of Vikings, not even shooting at the Colossus, shooting at the Phoenix. And, oh, one last little tactical bit. If you're ever going to attack Protoss, find his 2nd, find his 3rd, and go in between. If you waltz up this way, he can photon overcharge this one, and then you just go the other way, and vice versa. Viking production starting early, not necessarily because of Colossus, but rather because of Colossus and Phoenix. I say that now because we'll see many replays differently. See what I was talking about? You get in between, and then you just go the other way. After some very simple shooting at the Nexus, and some very simple killing, Maru is now slowly getting way the hell ahead. Very critical and subtle point. If you are like Maru, and you apply pressure, you will see 2 possibilities and 2 alone. Protoss dies, or Protoss seems to be teching slow. Protoss dies, or Protoss seems to be teching slow. By putting in so much pressure and doing so much damage, Protoss has to spend those warp gates building reinforcements. Protoss doesn't want to do that. Protoss wants to be getting upgrades, getting charge, blink, 1-1, 2-2, whatever. So as we'll start to see, this 100 supply from Classic is actually a weak 100 supply. There's no charge, there's no blink, there's not even charge or blink in the production line. I promise you, if you start doing this, you will get the opportunity to walk up and kill Colossus with Marauders way the hell more often, because the prevalence of speed lots will be close to 0. Oh, accidentally picking it off. And then it's a quick, clean, easy wipe up. Oh yes, how elegant. Now, we're not seeing... one thing that I forgot to note. Maru also lifted this factory and just gave the reactor from the factory to the starport. So he can produce Vikings 4 at a time and really punish this Phoenix Colossus guy, and does so in what really looks like a not close game. So what we've learned, or what we've seen, is a great build-up towards the mid-game. We saw the strength of that mid-game attack. This is Classic, possibly the best Protoss player in the world, since he just won GSL. At the very least, he's one of the top 3 Protosses in the world. And Maru just crushed him. Crushed him in this game. Really badly. Nice. And so much of it is the fact that Maru is really devoting to this mid-game pressure. When we come back, we're going to ask ourselves the question. Maru didn't expand to a 3rd in this game. Does that mean he can never do it? No, of course not. Don't worry, because when we step into part 2, we'll see a 2nd game where Maru does a very similar type of opening, gets an expand, and kills the shit out of Classic.